So I was talking with some of my YouTuber buddies, and what they suggested was I try out this new thing called live streaming. Um, Essentially, what it is you make a video, except instead of getting the chance to re-record when you fuck up, you actually just have to keep going through with it and power through the mistakes. And that's essentially what a live stream is. And I thought, okay, that sounds cool. Maybe I'll give it a shot. And here I am. Howdy. If the lighting settings are a little bit off, my apologies. I've been finicking with them like endlessly. Oh wait, I know why they're off. The goddamn light's still on. Hold on. Honestly, you'd think I'd act like this was my job or something. Hey, what's up? How you doing? You're so quiet? How am I quiet? I liked it more before. You suck. I don't like the yellow light. That's for the full comeback. Hyena. How you doing? All right. So I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm still not feeling perfect, but I saw a doctor. We're taking a look at the cough. It's gonna be fine. No COVID, no corona. It's gonna be fine. I'll be fine. It's still gonna take a little while for me to feel back at 100. So until that point, I can't guarantee the near daily streams that we all used to have. Before we get to that, though, how the fuck are you people doing? How are you guys doing? It's been so long. Do you have any idea how fucking boring it is to do recordings on your own without a stream audience next to you? Do you have any idea? Do you have any clue how boring it is? It's so I get the camera adjusted and I sit down here like, hello people, here's the segment. God, I felt like the Quartering or something, like, one of those content mills where they just read an article with the camera in the corner. Like, where's the heart? Where's the soul? Where's the spirit? I missed it, and I missed you guys. Chat's too fast. Chat is not nearly fast enough. We're off our game right now. We need to roll it back. It's going to take a little while, weeks, maybe even months for us to get back up to pace, because I've basically not been streaming for 3 weeks, which is a really long time to be off game, but yeah, here we are. You almost got 300k? Yeah, we got beat to 300k by Destiny because of the Pokemon drama, and you know what? I see some people being cringy about this. I think that's hilarious, okay? I think that's great. I would have loved to have talked about the Pokemon drama. I just don't have the connections to offline TV that Destiny does. I'd be like a backseat rider, and I'm not here for that life, okay? I'm not backseat riding. What have I been doing in my absence? I hear all of you wondering inside of your heads, but mysteriously not typing into chat. Well, I've gotten good at Age of Empires 2, and by good I mean I can beat the hardest AI difficulty, which isn't even the hardest AI difficulty occasionally. So there's that. I've been drawing a little bit more, and that's fun, Oh, I got a Cintiq. A Cintiq is basically the highest tier of a drawing tablet. It's basically another monitor. It's a big old 4K monitor that you draw on. It is colossal. It also means that I'll be able to do drawing streams, like real drawing streams. Drawing streams the likes of which you never even seen before. But yeah, it's basically the size of like a student's table, like a desk in like school, It's huge. It's beautiful. My desk isn't even big enough to hold it right now. I have to hold it on my goddamn lap when I use it. All right, get back over here. All right, there we go. And I also finally got around to scheduling some doctor's appointments for the keloids on my earlobes. So we're rolling it through, people. We're getting it all done, Since I don't have time to stream, I might as well get all my other shit out of the way. I know. What will I be without my keloids? The end of an era, I hear you saying. It's true. We got to move on, people. We got to move on. Way to make good use of your time. Well, I also wasted a lot of time. Let's be let's be perfectly clear here, okay? I also wasted a lot of time. Ye not need worry that you're using your time inefficiently compared to me, because you're not. Did you ever get a proper desk, or are you still using a lunch table? The latter. Ha-ha! We'll get around to it. I'll buy one today. You know what I want? I want a standing desk. Or like that, not standing, but the desks that switch between standing and sitting. The ones that have the hydraulics to move up and down. And that way I can stand for a bit. And it's supposed to be good for your back, you know? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, imagine standing stream. How pog would that be? Standing debates. You can see me like pace back and forth while I'm arguing with somebody. What's today's segments? We have many, my friend. We've got so much to talk about. A hearty welcome to everybody watching right now who's never watched a stream before. I know that because I've been absent a while, I have gained thousands of subscribers without any live streams. So I know there are at least some of you. To those of you watching in YouTube chat, remember, I don't care about you. You're in YouTube chat. If you want to be cared about, this is v.gg. Check it out. Look at all the funny frogs. Post your favorite frogs. Look at them. Give them a look. Look at all these frogs. We've got happy frogs. We have inquisitive frogs. We have frogs moving so quickly it's actually impossible to individually discern them. But as you can see, there's quite a variety, and that's only on v.gg. Not giving you YouTube shitters any goddamn emotes. Okay, maybe I will eventually, but, you know, we'll get to that. Oh, people. Oh, God. If you can only imagine. What is this? You know what? Why don't we start off strong, huh? A statement by Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States, on Twitter, no less. This claim about election fraud is disputed. Hit me with it, Donald Trump. What's up? Looking all official?
Thank you. This may be the most important speech I've ever made. I want to provide an update on our ongoing efforts to expose the tremendous voter fraud and irregularities which took place during the ridiculously long November 3rd elections. We used to have what was called Election Day. Now we have election days, weeks and months.
True.
And lots of bad things happened during this ridiculous period of time.
Remember that the reason why many of those important swing states took so long to count the mail-in ballots was because of legislation introduced by Republican state legislators. Keep that in mind. When you hear Republicans complain about how long, it's the exact same as when Republicans complain about the fact that Democrats are the ones who implemented the 50-vote majority for the Senate. It was because Republicans were deadlocking everything else. The only reason... Republicans love stonewalling legislation and voting, okay? So, yeah, all right.
Time, especially when you have to prove almost nothing to exercise our greatest privilege, the right to vote.
Yeah, you got to provide your name and an address, and that's all it takes, because historically there's been next to no evidence of any meaningful voter fraud to have ever taken place in the United States. Keep in mind how undemocratic and un-American claims like this are. What they're trying to do is put up walls in between you and your most fundamental constitutional right, the right to vote. Every time they implement another wall, every time they try to erect another barrier, they are doing so without evidence for its necessity.
President, I have no higher duty than to defend the laws and the Constitution of the United States. That is why I am determined to protect our election system, which is now under coordinated assault and siege.
The Chinese.
For months leading up to the president.
Hugo Chavez, the Venezuelans, the Mongols, the Mongol hordes, people. They're very big. They're very nasty. They tell me, lots of people tell me the Mongol hordes, they don't take prisoners, people, and they're all coming for us. They're coming for me. They're coming for America. They're going to come across the ocean, and they're bringing with them Biden ballots.
Election. We were warned that we should not declare a premature victory. We were told repeatedly that it would take weeks, if not months, to determine the winner, to count the absentee ballots, and to verify the results.
Damn, sucks you guys implemented state legislation that made it take so long to count those ballots then, huh? Guys, remember how quickly Florida sorted this all out? That's because they had laws that allowed them to count all this earlier. California, I'm pretty sure, is still counting ballots. It all comes down to state legislation.
My opponent was told to stay away from the election. Don't campaign.
What?
We don't need you. We've got it. This election is done. In fact,
What?
they were acting like they already knew what the outcome was going to be.
Ah, that's such a sneaky. Oh, I love that, dude. While the Trump administration and Republicans were literally claiming, Tim Pool said that they were going to get a 49-state sweep. Republicans were delusional about Trump's chances. And now they're saying the fact that the polls pointed in favor of Biden and Biden won is actually evidence that he didn't win. The more confidence you have in the results of your election coming in your favor, the less likely it is that it will actually come out in your favor. Amazing. I love that.
They had it covered, and perhaps they did, very sadly for our country.
Get
it
fucked.
was all very, very strange.
How does it feel
Within
to get
days
backstabbed
after
by
the
Barr?
election, we witnessed an orchestrated effort to anoint a winner, even while many key states were still being counted. The constitutional process must be allowed to continue. We are going to defend the honesty of the vote by ensuring that every legal ballot is counted and that
Except for the millions of ballots they try to get thrown out in PA.
no illegal ballot is counted. This is not just about honoring the votes of 74 million Americans who voted for me. It's about ensuring that Americans can have faith in this election and in all future elections.
Yeah, so this is completely done. This is over. At this point, the Trump administration's continued publicity campaign for overturning the results of the election, overturning the election of President-elect Joe Biden. This is basically just about fundraising for him. Remember, half of the money you donate to this whole Stop the Steal shit goes towards paying down Donald Trump's campaign funds. Broke Donald Trump, who's facing a lot of debt when he gets out of office, okay? So at this point, this really is just about paying down as many debts as possible. He doesn't want to be held to account for all the money that he spent convincing the American people. You know, but he wants to keep it going, too. He's actually floated the idea, apparently, of not only not going to Biden's inauguration on the 20th, but actually having a 2024 presidential rally on the day of Biden's inauguration. How unbelievably petty. Like a child who shits himself and throws a hissy fit on his older brother's birthday to get some attention from the parents. I'm not kidding. That idea has actually been floated. I'm not joking. Unprecedented in American history. And some of you guys may have noticed a change in tone between how I handle this now and how I did a couple of weeks ago, or a couple of months ago, I guess, because it's been a while since I streamed. And to be perfectly honest, I love the riffy sort of comedy vent on this kind of stuff because it's all very silly. How am I supposed to satirize this? How am I supposed to make fun of this? Can you give me an answer? I genuinely don't know. The way the Trump administration has behaved, the fact that it's a complete clown show, every single thing they do fails. They fail, they lie repeatedly over and over. Empirical lies, like provable lies that you can check from a plurality of different sources. But if you fact check them, you're part of the deep state. Fox News, part of the deep state. William Barr is part of the deep state. It's all part of the deep state now. Everything that disagrees with their perception of reality is the deep state. How do I satirize this? I genuinely ask you, how do you make a joke out of a joke? Dude, we didn't realize how far down you could go. There were comedians who thought it was impossible to make fun of George Bush. Jr., of course. There were comedians who thought that was like the bottom of the barrel. Like, wow, this guy lies all the time. His administration is incompetent. He sounds like a fucking idiot. He's a war criminal. He lies repeatedly to the press. He's a jingoistic xenophobe. This is like the bottom of the barrel, you know? But George Bush, though, I think if you actually tally the things that he did, I think arguably quite a worse president than Donald Trump is. But George Bush, in terms of his ability to be satirized, is infinitely more composed than the Trump administration. I genuinely don't know how to make fun of this anymore. There are people that are freaking out all over the place. They're freaking out. Jesus will ensure Trump wins. What do I say to this? I ask you. This is why the real work of this country, of progressives in this country, and of this channel is only just beginning, okay? We've been on the defensive for the past 4 years. Now we go on the offensive, okay? Now we go on the offensive. Now, I'm not a political official. Nobody voted for me. Stop the count. But I, at least to the purpose of my channel, my goal is to obliterate conservative YouTube, if I may. I want this done. I want it cleaned. I want it absolutely made irrelevant. Because right now, we're at a flashpoint where there are two types of human beings in this country. There are people who can accept reality and work within it, and there are conservatives who are like that, by the way. There are conservatives, a great many of them, though it's hard to believe, seeing how the internet is right now. There are conservatives who recognize Donald Trump lost. His behavior is presently ridiculous. There aren't as many of them as there should be, but these people exist, and I would love to talk with these people. But there are also people who have just completely abandoned reality. They have completely abandoned reality. And now they are participants in a cult. It is a cult. There's no other word for it. It is a cult. And typically speaking, as I understand it, when you have a media space that is dominated by groups of people which are separated not by their political beliefs, but rather by their willingness to engage with reality, it is of the utmost imperative for all of us that the people who believe in reality win. Not just for us, by the way. For them, Trump supporters would not benefit from living in the world they think they want. Okay? I promise you, they are as capable of self-determination as a child holding a fork moving towards a house outlet, okay? They, for their own good, all of these whiny, sycophantic, delusional proto-fascists, or outright fascists, need to be picked up and taken away from the fucking outlet. And you take the fork away, too, because you shouldn't give utensils to children. I don't know. They could do something to hurt themselves. Forks can be pretty sharp, like if you bite down in them hard enough, you can get up in your gums. You got to be careful with that stuff. Babies have baby strength. Powerful stuff. We need to go on the offensive. And that's going to be the goal of this channel. We will have enemies on all sides. We will make enemies of the liberals and the Democratic Party. We have already made enemies of the conservatives on this platform. So that's not new. That's not a change from, our established pattern of behavior. And we have to win because we are fighting existentially for a future for this country which is rooted in reality, such to the point where we can have discourse. If we can't even have discourse, what are we supposed to do, people? How am I supposed to argue with people who are saying shit like the Trump-appointed federal judges are members of the deep state, the dozens of them that have ruled on these cases? What do we say about that exactly? Honestly, what I'm going to be interested in seeing from this point forward is the extent to which the mainstream Republican Party holds on to Trump's legacy or if they ditch him. Because there are some signs, for example, Mitch McConnell has not been fully supportive of Trump's behavior. William Barr, of course, likewise. And there are people in the Republican Party who have, while not openly acknowledged that Trump lost, they've sort of wiffle-waffled. And there are a lot of Trump sycophants who are using this as an excuse to attack the GOP. But my God, what a beautiful future that would be for us. If, like orcs, they end up killing each other. The GOP establishment and the Trump loyalists, they just fight and they destroy each other's political viability, split in half. I'll tell you what, here, this is my lack of principle speaking for me, okay? You can, listen, you can judge me if you want. But if there ends up being a Trumpist third party that gets a significant number of votes away from the GOP, I'm temporarily putting a moratorium on my support for ranked choice voting, okay? Temporarily. Still something we should do, but at least for the meantime, I'll prioritize other things, okay? Because consequentially speaking, the harm that could be done by reuniting their votes would probably exceed any good that could be done by letting people vote green then Democrat, Oh God, these lunatics. In all seriousness, though, in all seriousness, it's impossible to satirize. But I hope all of you will stick with me in this channel. It's going to be a pretty significant change of pace moving away from the Trump administration because Biden's failures as a leader are going to be subtler. It's hard to be less subtle than Trump administration, but they're going to be much, much subtler. It's going to be small. Well, I'm going to talk about Neera Tanden. I want to do a proper takedown of Neera, but it's going to be small concessions. It's going to be incremental reductions to previous policy statements, little disappointments, and every once in a while, there's going to be a big, big fuck up. And the temptation is going to be to only criticize the conservatives until the big fuck up comes around, and then we criticize the Biden administration. But we're not going to be doing that. We're going to do, to the best of our ability, everything possible to enunciate the failures of the Biden administration. And hopefully we can do so in a way to maximize the degree to which we can pull other Democrats left. Because I am not interested in forming some sort of insular, hyper-partisan leftist community that is concerned first and foremost with ideological purity and secondly with political efficacy. That is not my interest. But you already knew that. If you watch this channel, you know what I'm into. Love me that political efficacy. Go team. God, it feels good to talk to an audience again. Oh my God, you can't even fathom. Oh, you can't even imagine. There are people in my community who are going to be upset I'm not criticizing the Dems enough. And I mean, it's a spectrum, of course. You know, I could dedicate I could be Jimmy Dore and do nothing but bitch about Democrats if I really wanted to. But I'm first and foremost concerned with bringing people over. And I can't do that if I am categorically opposed to the Democratic Party. You know, give you an example. People like Glenn Greenwald, people like Jimmy Dore, do these people have audiences of establishment Democrats moved left? Or do they have audiences of Bernier busters moved right? Where do their audiences come from? I don't want to be that. It's busters moved right. They don't do anything for the actual political discourse. They don't actually move anything to the left. Yeah, Jimmy Dore's YouTube videos, their comment sections are just fucking packed with GOP simps. Peter Coffin is so done with this god-awful take. Let's take a look. Now that Peter Coffin has blocked me on Twitter, I don't even have to pretend to be civil with this motherfucker. Let's see. Oh, I love that ratio. Let's get it. I have no ill will towards any trans celebrity, but their experience is easy. They have access to great medical care and get Twitter trends reminding everyone what to call them. The misconception of trans issues as bourgeois becomes more difficult to resist to this. Damn, Peter! You had to wake up really early in the morning to come up with that stupid of a tweet. We can break this down point by point. We don't even need to read the rest of the tweets. We can just read this one. Okay, so first of all, no ill will towards any trans celebrity. That's a fucking I'm not racist but beginning right there. But their experience is easy. No, actually. Transitioning in the public eye is arguably, if it's not harder than, it's at the very least a very specific type of unimaginable suffering. In the middle of a TV production as well. ContraPoints did a whole fucking thing on this, where public transition, I mean, that can be really difficult, you know? This whole thing and the public scrutiny. Now, there are benefits to being a celebrity. You're wealthy and you do get a lot of default public support, but you also get a lot of default public hatred, too. They have great access to medical care, nobody denies this, and get Twitter trends reminding everyone what to call them, and reminding everyone who doesn't like trans people what not to call them. The misconception of trans issues as bourgeois becomes more difficult to resist due to this. I love this, dude. So Peter Coffin's like, I don't want to say trans issues are bourgeois, but when wealthy people transition, I can't help it. It makes me feel like they are bourgeois. I love it. It's like the ultimate, like, class. It's not even class reductionist. It's like, I can't say ableist slurs. It's like hyper class reductionist, but to the point where it doesn't even make sense to defending class. What does this have to do with bourgeois issues? You realize this is the first, like, prominent trans masculine, like, trans person that we've had in the public eye for, like, a really long time. If it's such an infrequent occurrence, but there are literally millions of trans people around the world, don't you think this isn't, like, a bourgeois issue? It's just, this is the one time it's been brought visibility? Like, what does that mean? Actually, racism is a bourgeois issue because remember when Republicans were racist to Obama? It makes it hard for me to not think that race issues are bourgeois when I see Obama being racist at. Can you imagine this tweet coming out during the Obama administration? I have no ill will towards any black politicians, but their experience is easy. They get access to great social services and get Twitter trends reminding everyone how powerful and influential they are. The misconception of race issues as bourgeois becomes more... It's literally the exact same thing. Anyway, thank you, Peter Coffin. As always, a dedicated lolcow. Nice effort in turning this into an opportunity to whine about trans people having a little bit of visibility in their otherwise rather difficult lives. What were we talking about? I completely forget what we're talking about. What's the beef with you and Matt Christman? What is this? This is a stupid poll link? Dude, stupid poll hates me. They're all like... They're just reactionaries. They're not even leftists. One thing, this is a really, really important misconception to be addressed, okay? Class reductionists, or like hyper edgy, anti-woke, like tankies, these people aren't leftists. They're reactionary first, leftist aesthetic second, okay? All of these people orient around anti-woke activism to the point that they get along with far-right types. They're not far left. You don't see them spending their time in communities talking about redistribution of wealth. They complain that they don't have healthcare, but fundamentally their values are not driven by a desire for economic reform or economic parity. It's driven by a desire to be anti-woke, but not like the other ones. I'm not like other girls, these people. What is it with... There's so much sexual pathology to political affiliation, you know? Can you do a quick rundown of Biden's cabinet appointee as a whole? Yeah, I will, but I have a really bad memory, so I want to have it all laid out in front of me, like with the, not a script, but like a list. So I don't have that list right now, but it'll definitely be in one of the coming streams, you know? We're definitely getting there. Have you covered Trump's wild fucking tweeted video about the election? Yeah, you just missed it, my friend. Wait, hold on. What the fuck is this? You fucking memers. Dude, we're 25 minutes in and I haven't coughed once. I'm pogging IRL right now. True. That's true. That song slaps. That song's the best thing to come out of Rick and Morty, by the way. I know the song didn't come from Rick and Morty, but the popularization of that song is the best thing to come out of Rick and Morty, okay? That's the best part of Rick and Morty discourse. That song slaps really hard. Giant worker strike? Giant worker strike? Really? No way! We'll have to take a look at that, won't we, people? Whew! That's a big, what's the opposite of a yikes? A pog moment. I just want to say, by the way, for everyone watching, so happy to have all you here. I know that donation reading has been a little bit sporadic lately. That's not going to be consistent. It's just a matter of appropriately leveraging my time. I'm going to go through today's donos very, 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 very briefly after I'm done with this stream. There are other donations I need to go over as well from Thanksgiving, but we'll have to address those at a later time. I've seen some very generous donations from YouTube chat, from VGG chat, $100, $50 donations. You people are crazy, man. I love you guys. I'll take a look at those shortly, okay? Wait, don't talk about the Indian strikes. There's a lot of misinformation. Wait, how is that helpful? Don't talk about them at all. There's misinformation. That doesn't tell me what part of the information is miss. Well, what am I supposed to... I can't talk... Were there ever any strikes? Was the existence of these strikes the misinformation? Shapiro will not call Elliot a him. Yeah, no shit. Shapiro's a transphobe. Hey, Riley. I'll let the information be cleared. Oh, yeah. Oh, there we go. We jinxed it. I got a cough, but I feel good, so don't be weird about it, okay? Oh no, my stream experience. It's not just India, it's Bangladesh. Oh. Oh yeah, of course it's not a communist revolution. This is one of the big issues lefties have. Anytime they see worker organization, they assume it's some sort of like socialist thing. They did the same thing with Black Lives Matter. Oh God, remember when Black Lives Matter first initially started, like right after George Floyd, and they started coming out, and there were a lot of white lefties online who were like, this is it. They're finally taken to the streets. And that's why they supported Chaz, because they thought it was like the beginning of some sort of decentralized socialist revolution. Oh, God. You have to remember, people. You have to meet people at their level of radicalization. That's not me talking. That's Lenin, okay? You have to meet people at their level of radicalization, okay? You're not going to move the fucking proletariat to revolution by talking to people who just want to get a little bit more food on the table about fucking labor strike reappropriation of the means of production, okay? You're not going to... Vaush, Black Lives Matter didn't start with George Floyd. Yeah, I meant the fucking major protests that started after George Floyd. Obviously, not Black Lives Matter literally started after George Floyd. Okay. Oh, God. Are we going to talk about the Arch Subverse drama thing today? I don't even know anything about it. How much do you want to bet that Archwarhammer, if he was talking with me, would call me a pedophile, even though his community has been infested with appointed mods who are not only pedophiles, but openly, proudly talk about the morality of having sex with children? Do you guys remember the Arch drama? I covered it in a video like 6 months ago, but yeah. Oh, we'll talk about Obama too. Oh, do you guys not remember the drama? I have a video on it before. Arch Warhammer has a Discord, and there were mods in that Discord, and the mods were literally like, dude, child porn's not bad. Like, the kids consent to it, usually in the professional industry. Like, this fucker's worked with raping children before. In the professional industry, you know, the kids, they're totally fine with it. And like, it's insane. Like, it's the one of the, and it was in the Discord. It was just being said openly in the Discord. That's what I say about these Nazis. They're all into they like power, they like hierarchy. What more? How can you better abuse that than being into kids? It's pretty fucked up. But hold on, could you have expected anything different from somebody whose voice sounds like this?
Subverse has put out an updated statement to its Kickstarter backers via email, where amongst other things, the person writing it states that the development team has been put into a very uncomfortable situation. And taking this into the wider context, as I know it and see it, having been in contact with the team, with my
you all need to get NordVPN to protect your identities from the feds, because if you ever get taken to a CIA black site, they're going to torture you by having that shit, just this guy's videos playing the whole fucking time. You're gonna be in a fucking 6x3 concrete cell with nothing but Arch Warhammer being piped in through a fucking tinny radio, and nobody makes it out of those places alive. Okay, the worst part is they leave the door open. You just don't have the strength to flee. Yeah, it's a war crime. It's true. By the way, funny little tidbit: Arch Warhammer is now called Arch because the company that owns the Warhammer brand fucking cease and desisted him from using their name because they're so disgusted by him. They don't want to be associated with a Nazi pedophile, so they literally forced him to remove Warhammer from his name. So now it's just Arch. Not joking. Can you imagine? This guy based his channel around that fucking game series and all the content in it. Oh, God. What are you gonna do? He should be a voice actor? Yeah, for the most hateable fucking character in every series. I agree completely, you know? You know in like anime or TV shows where there's like a really obnoxious Poindexter character who's usually introduced just to get punched in the face and they don't show up later? I think that guy's typecasted for it, okay? Listen, you may hate it, but there's a need for that archetype. One might call it an archetype. Okay, we're getting way the fuck off the beaten path. Let's talk about a strike. Oh, I missed you guys. All right, people. I did a segment on this offline, not with a live stream audience, but, you know, it's just so much more fun having you around. I love strikes. I love general strikes. Every lefty should. And the reason why I love them, you know what? I'll get to the long bit later. The short bit is that because they're poggers. But people, the biggest general strike in, as I understand it, human history. Over 200 million workers and farmers paralyze India. 200 million. I can't even fathom. The population of the United States is like 330 million. This is in the ballpark of the population of the United States, the entire country. This is larger. This is unprecedented. This is larger than any collective worker organization in human history. And why? Well, we read the article to find out. On Thursday, some 200 million workers held a one-day general strike in India. This massive day in action was called by 10 trade unions. Unions lead to strikes. And over 250 farmers' orgs, and was accomplished by massive protests and a near total shutdown of some Indian states. According to the call put out by unions, the general strike was organized against the anti-people, anti-worker, anti-national, and destructive policies of the BJP government led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now, I could talk for a year on Modi and what a piece of shit that guy is, but I think the fact that his incompetence inspired the world's largest worker uprising ever should speak enough to him. Their demands included the withdrawal of all anti-farmer laws and anti-worker labor codes, the payment of, we could go through all of it, but essentially workers' rights. Workers' rights, food on the table of hardworking individuals. They're fighting essentially for subsistence comfort, something to which I believe they should be entitled. India is rapidly developing. Vaush, this could be in the US, but we all plan. That's a great fucking point. Why are we such pussies in the United States? Real, though. Real. India has a lot of problems. The country of India has a lot of problems in it. In a wide variety of civic, social, cultural, but in spite of all of that, they were able to mobilize about 250 million human beings. 250 million, with a B, to protest for their class interests. Now, I'm asking a little facetiously, why are we such pussies? There are reasons why America is the way it is. First of all, we don't have unions. Union membership has been declining for like 70 years. Ever since the New Deal, when it's been about at its peak, thereabouts, it's been declining. And a relentless propaganda campaign from American corporations has been convincing its workers that they don't need unions, You've all seen it. Have you ever worked at Walmart? Have you ever worked at Amazon? Have you ever worked at a grocery store? There's a decent chance, if it was a big corporate bid, that at some point you were given a little module that you had to watch as part of your employee training on unions. And they tell you all sorts of things. They tell you that unions are harmful, they cost so much money in dues and fees, they're predatory, and that, hey, the corporation you work for, they're a family. So why do you need unions? What are you, a home wrecker? You look at all that, you got the laws put in place at both the federal and the state level, which make it harder for workers to organize. And the outcome of all of this is that we live in a country where a general strike of this magnitude is almost impossible. But it doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. Listen, folks, when you ask a lefty, here, this is a personal frustration of mine, okay? Because I'm pro-voting. I think that you can actually change things through voting. In fact, that's one of the main reasons I think it's important for Democrats to be in office rather than Republicans. Biden's administration will be less anti-union than Trump's administration. A lot of lefties don't even pay attention to the policies that come out of these presidential administrations, but let me tell you, the Trump administration was religiously anti-union. They did quite a bit to damage union rights in these countries. Biden says he's pro-union. Is he actually going to be pro-union? Almost certainly not. Is he going to be as bad as Trump? I really sincerely doubt it. And whether he moves the unions in this country in a better direction or just moves them in a worse direction slower than Trump does, the outcome is better for us, because unions are the bedrock of collective worker organization. They are the foundation of collective action. One of the things that bugs me when I talk with lefties online is they'll say, wow, you want to vote? You want to participate in this bourgeois electoral practice and legitimize voting by, ugh. And then I ask them, well, what would you like to do? And they say direct action. Now, if somebody just says direct action like that with no like follow-up or specification, they're full of shit, okay? This is a motherfucker, okay? The only direct action they're doing is the firm fucking grip they're applying to their cock with their hands as they massage themselves vigorously while spam posting on Twitter about how morally superior they are to every other lefty who bothers to go to a voting booth once every 4 years, okay? Or 2 years, I guess. That's the direct action they're applying, the 5-finger grip, okay? Direct action can mean a lot of things. Direct action can mean stuff like bringing food to the homeless. You know, that does create a kind of solidarity, especially in a local sense. And that's great and that's good and people should do that, you know? Direct action can mean a lot of things. But one of the main things people imply when they say direct action is striking. There were a lot of people calling for a general strike just a couple of months ago when we were, you know, because every month we have more and more issues with, because we're not getting any housing stimulus and people are like on the brink of homelessness. So people talk about a general strike. We don't get a general strike in this country. We don't have unions. You need organizations around which people can realize their class interest. You need some kind of central, not centralized across the whole country, but at least some kind of directed organization to facilitate striking. You can't just do them off the cuff with nothing else supporting you. You need the unions, and building those unions is really important. I'd say that's actually the most important kind of direct action in this country right now, being able to build unions. Unfortunately, I've never been in a union, and I've never created a union. There are people watching this stream right now who have done both of those things, and I defer to your expertise. Because unions are workers' organizations in the purest sense. Now, that doesn't mean that a member of a union is going to instantly turn into some sort of enlightened socialist or some shit, because that's not true. The unions were at their greatest in the United States back during the McCarthy era. There were people who were in unions who would fight collectively for their worker rights and then go home and beat their wife while explaining to their child that female orgasms are communism, okay? Unions don't make people socialist, but they do enable socialist action, or at least they make it easier. That's true. Nothing but solidarity. What's the opposite of critical support? Support for this massive general strike, and a reminder to the bourgeois of the world that at the end of the day, everything we rely on rests on the shoulders of the humble worker. That's why strikes are so important. Never forget that. There are other types of collective organization that can be broken. Protests can be broken. You send in the police, you send in the gas, you bomb them if you need to, but you can break protests, even big ones. It's always possible. But strikes are immortal, because everything we rely on today, from the food that goes onto the table of the middle manager to the yacht that is being piloted by the banker, all of it comes from labor. Nothing in our society functions without labor. Nothing. Literally nothing. It all breaks. So general strikes are very, very scary to the ruling class. There are other types of collective organization that can be thwarted, but not strikes. Because when you strike, if you just don't work, everything shuts down. And with how interdependent our modern day global economy is, all it takes is a couple days, no, a couple hours of halted production to bring capitalists to their knees. That's all it takes. Sometimes a delayed train shipment or a missed collection of shipping products. It doesn't matter. It takes very, very little, because if one corporation is pledged to provide X goods to another corporation at a given, point in time, and they don't because their factory is striking, you set in motion a chain of failure that runs around the length of the world. That's why American corporations don't want you unionizing, because strikes are immortal. They are far stronger than anything else we have. Far, far, far stronger. So keep that in mind. As much as I dislike lefties who say, you know, just don't vote, do direct action, as much as I hate that, and I do hate that, I do. Remember that there is, if nothing else, one form of direct action that is unfathomably powerful. Oh, imagine if 50 million workers would strike in the U.S. If 50 million workers were to strike in the U.S., they could get anything they wanted. Anything they wanted. They could get anything. Even Republican obstructionism wouldn't be enough, because Republicans are beholden to the interests of corporations, as Democrats are, though different corporations and to different extents. And those corporations need the strike to end. At the end of the day, this is one of the great weaknesses of capitalist societies. Fascist societies don't rely on this to the same extent, nor do autocratic state capitalist societies. But the society that we live in, laissez-faire capitalist societies, these societies rely on chains of command which are ultimately beholden to the production or the productive capabilities of laborers. No matter what else. So keep that in mind. And take some note in that, by the way. We have that shared identity, the shared identity of the worker, very, very important. Class consciousness, very, very, very important for people to reflect on. Because at the end of the day, our greatest capacity for enforcing systemic change, that does not come from ideology, that does not come from the books we've read, that does not come from economic theory, that does not come from racial protests, it doesn't come from anti-COVID lockdown protests, it doesn't come from anything except our ability to put our massive thumbs on the scale of global capitalism. That, at the end of the day, that's the most powerful tool we have. Now, all the other protests are important too. I'm just saying this is the real change maker. That's why the government and corporations let BLM happen. They let this stuff happen. They don't let unions happen. They don't let strikes happen. You can go look back at the beginning of the 20th century if you want to look at the history of unionizing and striking in this country, because there was a lot of bloodshed. A lot of bloodshed. However much a human life is worth, it was clearly in the monetary interests of the robber barons to kill union organizers en masse. And they did. And they will again if we start acting up. Go team. How about that, huh? I feel so revolutionary right now. Would you really describe modern America as laissez-faire capitalist? Yeah, that's the broad economic description. It's a capitalist society where every individual, in theory, has the right to acquire capital. Yeah, it's laissez-faire in that respect. I think we need to be careful and not treat all unions as the same. No, of course, some unions are way worse capacity for revolutionary activity or for spreading class consciousness. What will it take for prompting people into a general strike? Unionize. We have to build unions. We have to build unions. We can't do it without unions. It's not possible. Like police unions. When I say we need to unionize, I think most people will reasonably interpret that I don't mean we need more police unions. I think most people probably understand that I don't mean that. You know? Trade unions are fundamentally authoritarian and counter-revolutionary. What do you mean by trade unions? I've heard this term used in different ways before. An organized association of workers in a trade form to protect and further... Yeah, a labor union. Yeah, wait, how is that fundamentally authoritarian? Oh, it's Ajax. You want a single state union controlled by a person deified from birth, right? That's the... I didn't realize if like a trade union meant like a specific other thing that I was imagining in my head. But no, yeah, no, I'll support. Unions aren't perfect, but... Vaush, I'm a left com? Yeah, but I'm calling you out anyway. But I got you anyway. Do you seriously think unions are viable in the U.S. anymore? If they're not, we're dead. I hope you realize that, right? If they're not, we're dead. Unions are the bedrock of collective worker organization. If they're not, we're dead. It's that simple. If they're not, we're not dead necessarily. We're just living in capitalism forever until it becomes fascism. Because unfortunately, fascist organization tends to run along racial or national lines and thus can mobilize without unions. We, unfortunately, as socialists, generally speaking, have to organize around class interests, and since those are the ones that are suppressed in this country, we have to go the hard way. Starting an ethno-nationalist revolution, this easy. In America, the Trump administration is able to further this. That group of fucking imbeciles is capable of mobilizing racial and ethnic tensions in a nationalist way. That's easy. Class consciousness, that's hard. We're going for the triple S plus ranking. We're coming at it hard. We're coming at it fast. What the fuck is a left communist? It usually means it's a communist and a person who is anti-authoritarian, usually very critical of traditional modes of organization because they have underlying authoritarian. Left com's basically just like complaining on the internet a lot. And I that's my job, so I sympathize with that, you know? I feel so high energy right now. My God. My goodness. What do I talk about right now? Do we talk about the cult or do we talk about Obama? We have to talk about Obama. We can't not talk about Obama. We have to talk about Obama. Oh, God. Yeah. Obabe. Near a No. We'll do the thing later. What about Corbyn? Stay mad, people. Vaush, when's the last time you shaved your beard off completely? Like 3 years ago? 4 years ago, maybe? When do you think socialism could be achieved in the US? I don't hold myself to timetables. If I'm still alive by 2035, I don't want to look like a fool. It's going to be a good while, though, if it ever happens. It's generally a bad idea to assume the inevitability of your political position. I think that makes people complacent. Do you know about the UK trans kids under 16 losing all access to trans-related medical treatment? Yeah, that seems about on point for the UK. Wait. The ruling that caused this was crazy, claiming puberty blockers coerced children to continue treatment later on. Oh, wow, that is pretty crazy. I can give that a look later, I guess. I would need to read up on it. I don't want to give any highly reactive takes. Yeah. We're going to talk about the second thought thing as well. I literally retweeted that. Why would you? Okay. Why would you die in 15 years? Dude, I don't know what's going to happen to the world. Who knows? All right, listen up, dipshits. Obama. Who here thought Obama was a goddamn progressive hero before eventually you became a leftist and suddenly started to view him in a more critical light? Who? I know it's a lot of you. Yeah. A lot of you probably only started paying attention to politics back in 2008. You got caught up in the hype train, you know? Hope. And yes, we can. And Obama, he's an exceptionally competent orator. Like a real... God, I heard him recently. Just talking. Nothing special. And that motherfucker can speak. Maybe I just appreciate it more now because of Trump, but that guy is like an exceptionally, like 1 in a million public speaker. Crazy how competent that guy is. But unfortunately, rhetoric, the ability to deliver a speech, that's an aesthetic, and aesthetics can hide content. And at the end of the day, Obama isn't really a progressive. He said this recently. Progressive Democrats took aim at former President Barack Obama after he argued political candidates alienate voters when they use snappy slogans such as defund the police. Can I attempt his voice? You lose a big audience the minute you say it, which makes it a lot less likely you're going to get the changes that you want done, Obama said. The key is deciding Do you actually want to get something done, or do you want to feel good among the people you already agree with? I'd give it a 4 out of 10, my impression. Anyway, hey, folks, imagine for a second you're not hearing this from Obama. In fact, it's only being said to me. The key is deciding, do you actually want to get something done, or do you want to feel good among the people you already agree with? Does that not sound like every criticism I've levied at the broader online left over the past 2 years? Does that not sound almost identical to the criticism that I've levied? Like, it's literally the same point. I'm in a tough position here because there's an underlying sentiment that I agree with from Obabo, but I disagree with everything else. So let's break it apart. So the immediate reaction was what you would expect. Basically, every single progressive policymaker quote tweeted, people reporting on Obama's words. Here's Ilhan Omar. We lose people in the hands of police. It's not a slogan, but a policy demand. And centering the demand for equitable investments and budgets for communities across the country gets us progress and safety. There were a lot of people saying stuff like, dude, defund the police isn't a slogan, it's a policy demand. There were people saying stuff like, you say we lose people with slogans, we're losing people to police, you know? And unfortunately, at least one of those 2 points is horseshit. Defund the police is absolutely a slogan. Let's not delude ourselves. It 100% is. There's an issue, I think, with people assigning an unnecessary degree of substantiveness to rhetoric. All chants are slogans by necessity. Now, you can also say it describes the policy, but that doesn't make it not a slogan. And, folks, when was the last time one of you had a conversation about what defund the police means? It feels like pulling your goddamn fingernails out. Every time I have to have this conversation, well, defund the police doesn't literally mean that you get rid of all police funding. It means that you take funding away from the police and redistribute it to community efforts. Well, don't you also want to train police better? Yeah, also we need to train police better, and there are a series of policies that we could use to implement more restrictive use of force policies, and we could also have body cams. Well, don't those require money? Wouldn't you need to fund the police? Okay, yes. So defund the police means that you remove proportional funding, but then you increase funding to a smaller number of police to allow for more progressive measures to be implemented, while also redirecting the additional money towards other social measures. And like, God, God, kill me. Oh, God. It's really difficult. And I have to say, if a slogan demands that much clarification, there's something wrong. Now, we have to remember that there are 2 different worlds, 2 different approaches, okay? There's what we want done, and then there's how we get it done, okay? Now, I don't want police at all. But I recognize that if I live in America right now, if there were no police whatsoever, it would turn into an anarchic, Mad Max hellhole instantly. So what I recognize is that right now I want a smaller number of police that are better held accountable to their community, and I want a great deal of money redirected from those police over to other civic and social infrastructure that can be used to reduce the amount of crime, thus reducing the need for police, and then it feeds into itself, and hopefully we can have a much better system. You know, there are other countries, like in Europe, that handle this better. I hate deferring to, like, the Swedish, I hate the faffy fucking 6'2" blonde hair, socially anxious countries that I have to point to when referring to how to better do things like policing or schooling or jailing, the prison system, but they do it better. America is uniquely malicious with how it handles policing. We kill way the fuck more people. Our police are way the fuck more right-wing than the general population. They are aggressive. They are not taught how to de-escalate. We rob money from our inner city communities. We put it in the taxes, or we throw that right back to the police. We enforce broken windows policing policies that we know don't work. And there are political candidates out there who literally run on making the whole system worse. This is an American thing, or at the very least, it happens a lot more here than it does in these Scandinavian countries. So how do we get from A to B? I don't know how I feel about defund the police. has it led to positive change? There were a couple of cities that said they were going to defund the police, but then later there was like some asterisks, and it seemed like some of them aren't getting it now, and a couple of cities have some police reform, and that's good. That's good. But is this a proportional response to the BLM protests, the largest civil rights protests in American history? It's weird. But Vaush, bad optics doesn't equal bad policy. We just need better optics. Well, that's my point. Listen, my personal opinion, I think you should say or do anything to make this shithole country better. If it means saying stuff like defund the police, then fuck yeah, defund the police. If it means saying stuff like police can eat my shit in hair, if that was the slogan that maximized the positive outcome, then I think the police should eat my shit in hair. I do. Unfortunately, we don't live in that world. Optically, I don't know how well that'd play over. And I mean, hasn't been tested. Maybe it would be good. I don't know. But yeah, police can choke on my fat cock. Maybe that's the slogan that'll incite change. But it's probably not. It's probably not. It's probably not. That's the one. I talked with some other people on Twitter about this. Just a little bit of talking, you know. Stuff like, what would be better? Demilitarize the police? That sounds okay. But we want more than that, not just demilitarize. We want these funds redistributed. Redistribute police funding? Well, that's very pointed, but it's a terrible slogan. Can you imagine people chanting that? George Floyd just died. You know, there's fire burning in people's hearts. They're out there in the street. Redistribute police funding. Redistribute police fund. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. It's certainly no police can eat my shit and hair. It's not that punchy. It's really, really hard to fit policy positions in chants. It's actually really difficult to do that if you could believe it. I don't know what the better solution there is. I know change has to happen. 8 can't wait. Sure, 8 can't wait is preferable to what we have now. That's a series of policies promoted by the Biden administration that I believe would make police better in this country. But that's not enough, right? We don't just want police reform. We want money. Like, if you take a look at the budgets of some of these big cities, LA, New York, so much money goes to the police. So much money. We want to take some of that money. But defund implies you completely remove funding. The original claim wasn't defund the police, it was abolish the police. But that's not going to happen. Let's not kid ourselves. Abolish the police. That's not happening in this country. And it probably doesn't bring about the most efficient change to be shouting that up and down the place. But here's the problem I have. This is all open question, by the way. I don't have an answer for you. Seriously, I don't. I'm not leading you anywhere. I don't think defund the police has been perfect. I think a lot of alternatives that I've heard suggested are a lot worse, though. What about less police as a slogan? Less police. I don't know. Maybe. Unironically, maybe that'd be better. I don't know. It feels a bit chunky. Because it's 2 words. I don't know. Less police, Yamero. I don't know. But here's the issue that I have. It's an issue I've often had. It's an issue with Obama, if you can believe it. See, Obama is kind of the spiritual leader of the Democratic Party right now. It used to be the Clintons, but Obama, whether we like it or not, is going to go down in history as a well-respected and competent president. And I'm not getting into his record right now, but that is what he's going to go down in history as. And the Democratic Party loves him. They love him. Why? Well, it's really easy to see why. He's a hyper-charismatic, handsome, well-put-together state official. It's very easy. If you're just looking at aesthetics, the DNC, he's a dream boy for him. Yeah, they're all simping. First black president helps. Yeah, it does. It lends a sort of weight, like a historical gravitas to his behavior. And now, forever, for all of history until the end of this universe, he gets to be contrasted to the people who came before and after him. He came after a buffoon who got us embroiled in one of the worst foreign policy snafus of the century. And he came before arguably the least intelligent president in American history, an autocratic proto-fascist who was attempting to delegitimize the results of the subsequent election. And Obama really does feel like a little calm before the storm situated between these two, doesn't he? And he was competent in certain respects. And, well, he's got a lot of power. He's got a lot of power in the Democratic Party. Why doesn't he use that power for progressive causes? Black Lives Matter started under Obama, and he shit-talked it on and off when he was the president back then. He's very, very, very willing to promote these vagaries. We need to bring this country back together. We need to reunite the American people. We need to reject those who reject democracy. He loves these libby little aphorisms, you know? You can tell where Pete Buttigieg got it all from. But Obama could cut through the fucking red tape if he would just come out here and support some kind of definitive progressive agenda. See, the issue is he's almost like Jordan Petersoning this shit. He's not actually throwing his weight behind any direction. In this same interview, he said Obama said Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez should be given a bigger platform. So what are you doing, man? Where are you leaning right now? You have an unbelievable amount of weight and prominence in the Democratic Party. Arguably more than any other living person who isn't currently in office. You could, with but one interview, massively shift discourse within the DNC. But it seems like he's really willing to support sort of the aesthetic veneer of BLM concerns. You know, black people have endured much hardship, and that's bad. And great. But he stops before actively and directly advocating for something meaningful. Oh, is there lag? It's not on my end. I'm not dropping frames. That's from YouTube. Sorry. Yeah, the last time he committed to a specific political position was when he was trying to get into the pants of the ethereal bisexual socialists, right? This bothers me. Now, I'm not like betrayed that Obama isn't some sort of progressive heel, because I don't think he's that person, but it's really irritating. Obama is to the DNC what Trump has the potential to be for the rest of his no doubt fairly short life. He has the ability to sway public opinion massively for the respect that he's commanded. Trump is going to use that power to move this country. Trump has lost this election, and he is going to spend the next 4 goddamn years. He's going to get banned off Twitter the nanosecond he stops being president. He's going to form his own Twitter or whatever. He's going to go on Parler. I don't know. And he's going to form a political party. He's going to form a news, or he's going to be this obnoxious, cancerous tumor on the side of this country for years and years and years. He's going to be so loud. We're never going to stop talking about Trump because he never wants us to stop talking about him because he's a pathological narcissist and he has the emotional intelligence of an infant. But Obama wants to be like this wise, neutral, apolitical arbiter. That's what Obama wants. Obama doesn't want to come down here and actually get into arguments attacking or defending certain positions. Obama just wants to sit, with his fingers crossed like Gendo and just observe the political discourse. Yeah, and he wants to protect his legacy. And you can't protect your legacy if you get down in the dirt. So he just lightly comments. And sometimes he'll promote progressives when it's politically expedient. And sometimes, as he has for the past 4 years, arguably, he'll make things harder for progressives by kind of slyly criticizing their positions or say, encouraging people to, you know, sort of push against Bernie Sanders a little bit harder. So, in short, for having an unbelievable amount of power and for not doing exactly what I want with it, fuck Obama. Can you say it with me? Fuck Obama. True. He's not doing exactly what I would do. He's not doing the exact thing I would do. Fuck Obama. I would do the thing. He's not doing the thing. Honestly. The audacity of these people. Oh, but don't let this segment get out, okay? A lot of the Democrats I want to convince, they're still Obama fans. Oh, God, I'm going to have to spend the next 4 years trying to explain to people why Obama wasn't as good as they think he was, do they? This is how former presidents act. When have you seen Clinton or Carter take a leading role post-presidency? I don't think... Well, I think Clinton and Carter are bad examples because Carter was never really like the DNC dream child the same way Obama is today. And Clinton... Well... In addition to Clinton, like, because of Hillary Clinton still having some degree of, like, prominent political influence within the administration, he also wasn't particularly progressive. Yeah, Carter does a lot of charity work, but he's not, like, leading the forefront of, like, DNC discourse. Name an example, then? Well, I don't think it generally happens with Democrats. Democrats are usually, it's pretty crazy historically if you look at it. Democrats don't actually seem to represent progressive interests that well. It's actually pretty crazy when you look back through history. It's, you know, generally speaking, it's not. Yeah. I tell you what, we'll do a full thing on Obama sometime soon, okay? We'll do a full thing on Obama. But for right now, we shame Obama for tepidly relating to the BLM stuff, for criticizing progressives' messaging on defund the police, but not throwing his weight behind some sort of preferable alternative. That's the cringe right here, okay? That's the cringe. It's the same with GOP for former presidents. Well, not with Trump. With Trump, it's going to be very different, so we'll see how it goes, huh? Go team. Oh yeah, Destiny is going on Tim Pool tomorrow. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so you should all I don't know if I'll be streamed tomorrow. You should check that out. Oh, you can ew all you want, but it's Tim Pool and it's Destiny. We know who's in the right here. Come on. So that should be checked out. Maybe I'll take a look at that. I wonder how long it's gonna run. My thing ran for like 4 fucking hours. Yikes, Vaush, look, a woman got assaulted in custody. Dude, police love doing that shit. Poll. Voters oppose defund the police but back major reforms. Yeah, this is how you know a slogan isn't doing its job. In the poll conducted Friday through Sunday, a combined 59% say police departments across the country need either a complete overhaul or major reforms. Only 27% need a minor, say that departments need a minor overhaul. Only 5% say they don't need any reform at all. Only 5% think they need no reform. But that support does not extend to the slogan, defund the police, which some activists say is about reforming law enforcement as much as or more than actually making sizable budget cuts. By a nearly 2-to-1 margin, more voters oppose the movement to defund the police than support it. Yikes! It's like the difference between the Affordable Care Act and the Obamacare, you know? It's almost like we did the conservatives' work for them by adopting the less by adopting the less functional element of the you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about. we're kind of shit on branding at this one. Dude, lefties have always been shit at brand. No, I say always. Lefties have been shit at branding over the past like 10 years or so. That's my hot take, okay? Lefties are successful in spite of our bad optics, not because of good optics. Yeah, dictatorship of the proletariat. Okay, that one wasn't their fault. Dictatorship didn't mean the same thing back then, okay? So what should we do about this then? I think we should bend forward and we should all suck our own dicks. I think that's the only thing we can do at this point. All right. Let me take a look at a couple donations, huh? How nice would that be if I took a look at a couple donations? I think it'd be nice, you know, my personal opinion. I'm just going to run through a few of these. I'm planning on slowly getting back into streaming, but as you can tell from my occasional cough, it is a little, you know, it's still a little testy, but I'll run through all of these in the future. Acting power with the incredibly kind $25. Defund the police. The only thing I think would be effective is if some cities create a social worker model we can hold up as an example of what we want. Yeah, wasn't there one city that did that with the community policing and the social model? The one issue, though, is that it was very expensive. It can be tough. It can be tough to manage this stuff, you know? And to deliver these policies in a way people will agree with. Yeesh. What was the city? Camden, New Jersey. Yeah, that's the one everyone goes to. There were downsides there, too. There are always downsides. Always downsides. You should never argue for your position as though you're advocating a utopian policy. That's another mistake lefties do. You know, if only workers could get together and organize, it would be... No. Incremental. Most people aren't political idealists. Most people care about the food on their table. They care about their commute, their work hours, how good the schooling will be for their kids. That's how most people live their lives. You care about moment-to-moment decisions that affect you. And sometimes you have a broader concern, a broad cultural or religious or a social concern that really drives you. Sometimes. So what you should do is focus on those issues. Focus on the food on the table. Focus on the commute. Focus on the workplace. Focus on stuff people can relate to. It's very important to do that. Bread and butter, baby. Bread and butter. Okay, let's be reasonable. Arctic. Thank you so much for the tier 4 sub, man. I really, really appreciate that, comrade. And likewise, Aethermancer with the tier 2 sub. Goddamn right, we're here. We're here and we're queer, people. We're here, we're queer, and we're cringe. We're a little cringe, but we're proud of who we are. Corvus, my girthy friend. We built over 25 mini houses for the unhoused here in Vegas, and the city ripped them down and displaced over 50 unhoused the other day. But we aren't quitting. Jesus Christ, really? I don't know why I'm saying really like that's so surprising to me. That does sound pretty on point. That feels pretty on brand. Jesus Christ, man, that's fucking terrible. Chat would react to it appropriately, but I think they're delayed by a little bit from the lag. Here, I can fix that. Somniostatic, it's true, I am live. Thank you so much for the $50, mate. I really, really appreciate that. That's incredibly kind of you. And a reminder, I'll be going over all these donations in the future. Just that I'm running through some of the most generous or prominent right now. So as to preserve my throat. Also, I'm very hungry. Derek L, thank you very much for the incredibly kind $20. Have a conversation with Mr. Girl. Think it'd be interesting. He's very open to have a chat about transphobia. Wait, who's Mr. Girl? I know I've heard this name before. Mr. Girl. Stop lying about trans people. Who's this? I don't know enough about the content of this person to meaningfully assess their stuff. Is anyone in chat? No? I don't know. Candace Acker? Thank you so much for the incredibly kind $100. That is really, really, really fucking kind of you. He's the cuties guy? Oh. I see. Well, Candace Acker with the incredibly kind $100. Even though you're talking wait, what does that have to do with trans people? Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. Wait, what? Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know. Even though you're talking crap about us YouTube watchers, I started watching during your episodes from live streams and love listening to you. This donation goes to an appropriate desk for you. I learned about you through D Pac-Man, so I figured I'd give. Thank you so much, comrade. That is incredibly kind of you. I really enjoyed that interview with David Pac-Man. I hope that I can speak with him more in the future. He's obviously it feels weird saying to the right because he's a progressive, but he's not a socialist, but he's one of the most. This is such a rare feeling for me, being able to talk with a non-socialist who knows what socialism is. Whew, sends chills down my spine. Being able to talk with him, and he understands. He's not an idiot. He's actually quite a smart guy, I think, and pretty funny too off cam. Well, he's funny on cam too, but. Yeah, he understands it, but he's not it. Well, we'll get there. That's okay. But we're going to have a lot of work to do. And I think that the work we can do together will be more effective than the work we can do separately. That is to say, the work between socialists and progressive Democrats. I do not anticipate that DPAC will be an ardent defender of the Biden administration. Generally. Jinxto, thank you so much for the $50. I really appreciate it. And I got you covered, comrade. Don't you ever forget. Thank you, mate. I really appreciate that. All right. There are many donos to read, and they will be read. And I appreciate all you coming here, but I missed you all so much. I'll take 2 or 3 more minutes. How you doing, people? Are you aware of Destiny and Demon Mama's argument from yesterday? Yeah, I caught a little bit of it. Like probably half, I'm judging. It was definitely loud. No denying that. Is Pac-Man like 40 years old? I think he's late 30s, thereabouts. How have we all been doing, people? I can't tell you how excited I am to be able to draw some stuff. I showed this on Twitter. I imagine most of you have seen, but to celebrate getting my Cintiq, I drew 2 friends of mine who recently got engaged. Wait, hold on. Wait, hold on. That's the jokey one that I did after I put the cross eyes in. Hold on, that's not right. There we go. That's with no cross eyes. There we go. Anyway, the Cintiq feels really good. I feel like I might get one of those. You can get like a film over it that makes it textured like a piece of paper. I've seen that clip of Peter Coffin back in the day. 24-inch or 32-inch? 24-inch. The 32-inch Cintiq is like the size of a fucking wall. Do I have the swivel arm for it? No, because my current desk can't handle the swivel arm. It'll break. Does the Cintiq have any lag? No. I'd show it to you guys, but I'm having some issues with the software. Unfortunately, when I use Clip Studio Paint on my Cintiq, it'll freeze anytime I use a function that opens a new window. So if I open a new canvas, the canvas settings window opens up and then it freezes. If I try to select color gamut, then it freezes because then there's the selection threshold, and you need to update the drivers. No, the drivers are completely updated. Pretty sure. I could try updating them again, but yeah, I could try like Paint Sci or something like that. I like hitting more RAM. Am I using SSD or hard drive? It has nothing to do with any of that. It's a display issue, it seems. Can you quickly debunk and disavow this Kyle Kulinski segment? Secular Talk Fart Compilation. Is this real? That's real. Godspeed, Kyle. The 2011 era shitposting Kyle on Twitter never went away. Okay. I've talked too much. I am feeling a lot better. It's going to take a little while before I perfectly feel good, feel much better. I love you. Take care of yourselves. And I can't wait to get back into streaming properly, okay? Now that I know the origin of this cough, now that I know why it happens, this should not be as much of an issue in the future. If I get a cough in the future, fixing it will be much easier. It will not be a whole month at all.